Happy Sunday, my friends. Uh, I've been thinking about un- un- the topic of uncovering our gifts because it's a big theme in my own life. By by schooling, I am an English major and social work major in college, but I have a master of fine arts in poetry. So so by schooling, I'm technically a poet. Yet for years after I got my degree in about 2009, I didn't really do anything with poetry. My story was I was burned out by going through the program, and which was an excellent program by the way, just excellent mentors and teachers and students. But my story was I was burnt out from the rigor of it, and that there was no money in being a poet, and I didn't want to be a poetry professor, so I had just worked my tail off to excuse me, to get this degree that I wouldn't be using. Have you ever done anything like that? Like worked really hard to to complete a project or to or something bigger, and then once you were done you were like, oh, that's nice, but I can't really use this. It's so you just kind of hit it away. So as part of my master's program, excuse me, I had to do a creative thesis. And right now I actually don't know where the paper copy of the creative thesis is. I think it's in a huge box with lots of other stuff. I hope. But right now, at this moment, I technically do not know where my creative thesis is. The thing that I worked so hard on. Luckily, I have a digital copy, so I'll read you a poem from it later. But why do we do this sometimes? Why do we excuse me? Why do we develop our talents only to hide them? Think of things you did, like you did some time ago, and that you really liked. But then in the busyness of life, you forgot about. Maybe you convinced yourself it wasn't practical, or you weren't that good at it. It can be, both of those can be vicious, because when we convince ourselves something we love isn't that practical, we can convince ourselves not to do it and get back to the grindstone of grinding through life and making ends meet. But we love that thing. Also, equally vicious, or even more vicious is convincing ourselves we're not good at something. Often, often when we do this, we look way beyond where we are. Like I was looking at famous poets, dead and present, and who were in the main anthologies and who were published all over, and then looking at my own work and going, you know, this just isn't up to snuff. But comparing it, but it's not a fair comparison at all because we just don't we just don't know what the people we are comparing to on the TV screen, or the people we idolize, what they been through, how many hours they put in, and also we excuse me, and also we don't we aren't the best judges to compare because we're our own worst critics. Eric Carr says, I burned hundreds of 18 welding wires and hundreds of feet of welding wire to be a professional welder. Now I use it once in a while. And I can do it with my eyes closed too, which is fun. That's awesome, Eric. I love everything about that except the idea of you doing it with your eyes closed, which sounds very scary. Scary. I would recommend anytime you're welding to leave your eyes open. Thanks, my friend. So I'll read you the poem and we'll talk more. Keep in mind, I wrote the rough draft of this poem in college, and was fascinated by it and revised it during my MFA program. And then since then it's been gathering dust. I don't know if I read it once since my MFA program. Maybe I did. Not that I remember though. Here it goes. Direction beyond Iowa City Law School interviews. He concentrates on the speed limit and the blur of rain. The radio is opera. She stares out the window, tense in her nylons. They have yet to resume the layers of well-practiced argument about marriage, where to locate, and the possibility of kids. Outside Waterloo, she asks to stop. She helps him take off his wingtips and pulls the barbed wire apart. He dug through, finding his hand. She leads him down a row of corn, drawing them deep into the dark, slippery leaves. The land holds them as they shake in each other's arms, unable to reason their tears from the rain. Oh my gosh, shoot. I didn't copy the whole poem. Darn it. That's really too bad. And now I'm live. I'm looking for it now. I I did. I did. That is a hope home. I revised it and forgot about how it ended. So so anyway, yeah, sometimes we haven't looked at stuff we did for so long that we forget how it goes. And why do I bring this up? Because we have this life to use all of our talents, both to get the most enjoyment out of our lives. Like I enjoy writing poetry. I enjoy sharing poetry. Why not? Why not? Why not do it? Why not share it? And then also we can be of so much service to people when we share our gifts. So much service. I think of and I say this oftentimes. I'm on a computer right now with microphone and everything. And imagine if all the inventors and engineers who designed these things or who designed Facebook or whatever streaming service you're listening to this on. Imagine if they all said, "Oh, I'm really good at designing things, but I better just get back to life and grind it out and forget about designing. It might be impractical, and I might not be the best in it after all this. Like the great inventors like Thomas Edison and Benjamin Franklin. Who am I to invent? But if they hadn't invented, we might not be enjoying the technology we have now. Their silence, they're convincing themselves to just give up on their dreams could have made our dreams less easy to obtain. I have a big dream to speak to millions of people in my lifetime with my voice as it is, with my personality as it is, as me. Because I believe that so many of us get stuck in the space between the best we vision for our lives and the imperfect that is so often part of life. We make mistakes, uncertainties come up. We can't predict the future. There's just so much imperfect, so much imperfect. Thanks for waiting that out, Eric. And and when we're stuck in the space, we can lose sight of our power keep moving towards a best, to keep moving towards our dreams. Uh, 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 Thank you for being on, Debbie. You are such a big support. Thank you so much. I was speaking at a church. It wasn't a religious event. It was open to people aged 9 to 99, and I got to speak on these subjects, and afterwards some of the kids really keyed in on my dream to speak to millions of people, and they came up to ask questions like, do you know how many people you've spoken to already? And I didn't have an exact figure for them, and in that way it would be much more motivated if maybe if I had a list of everyone I spoke to so far. Me, it would also take a lot of time and get me into areas of keeping track I don't want to go into. But how are we motivating ourselves to really really shine our brilliance? Like Ag's brilliant carpenter, brilliant welder, just a hugely kind person who challenges me to be my best. And Debbie's that's awesome. You're not supposed to walk away. Debbie's written find you're fabulous, and she's all about encouraging people to find the brilliance, both intellectually, but also to really, and I can work like on this, being the best in terms of really owning the style in terms of fashion, and really showing up as the foremost beautiful handsome self. And this is what was trying to come through. This is so important for us as well as other people, in terms of the positive of what we can do when we shine our brilliance. But it's also extremely important to us because when we get bored, when we deny ourselves the things we truly want to do, uh, we're experts at thinking of ways to make ourselves miserable. When we get bored, the monkey mind starts chattering, and the chatter can become so intense. Following our talents and sharing them and developing the more and more literally gives us something constructive to do, something joyful to do, and it creates community. sometimes small community and sometimes big community, but community is community. For example, if I wasn't doing this Facebook live right now, because I convinced myself that I didn't have anything to say or whatever, I wouldn't have heard from Ag and Debbie today. Two amazing people who I'm glad to hear from. When we act, when we move, we we allow for greater connections. And this can be daunting because we can get into the thing of counting numbers and saying, oh my gosh, there's not a when I did the art project, or when I gave that concert, only a few people saw it, so it must not be that big a deal. People are people. Impacting one person is huge. We don't know how that ripples out. Impacting 10 people is huge. We don't know how that ripples out. We only see oftentimes our efforts and the people who immediately relate to them. We don't see the overall impact. We don't see the overall impact. Ag and I did landmark a long time or a while back, and he says, imagine if we got paid for what we accomplished at the landmark assisting jobs. Perfect. Perhaps it's perfect that we didn't. Sometimes you raise a really good point, Ag. So sometimes in life we get a paycheck for our efforts, and that feels good. That's fun to deposit in the bank, and it's fun to spend the money. But sometimes we simply don't get paid for what we want to do in life, or don't get paid as much as it's probably worth, or whatever. But so are we going to spend life only doing the things we get paid for, even if we want to do other things? Can you imagine? That's like making ourselves really small, and that's frankly part of the things that convinced me that my poetry wasn't important. After my master's, I was like, I'm not going to get pay much for this poetry, so why work hard at it? Why put my heart into it? What I didn't realize at the time is I'm free to put my heart into I what I love, whether I get paid for it or not. And that freedom is so exciting. Is there anything any of you have ever quit because you weren't getting paid for it, and anything you learned? And and then about our gifts, we may make assumptions too, like I'm like, I'm not going to get paid for poetry, and so I'm going to quit it. But how in the world do I know that I'm not going to get paid for poetry? Some poets get paid a lot of money for using poetry in various ways. And how do I know that I won't be one of them? Each of us are so much bigger than just getting doing thing to our money and doing other thing to our money and doing other thing to our money. And yes, that's part of life, and it's we need money in this culture to survive, but it's a part of life. It's definitely not all life. I say find things you're passionate about, or either find new things you're passionate about, or as might be the case for many people, just remember what you're passionate about. Remember what you're passionate about, that you put away, that you put in a drawer, that you stop spending time on for this reason or that reason, and simply start doing it again. And you might say, Jason, I have no time to do that thing I once loved. That thing you once loved. I'm not saying to do that thing you once loved for 40 hours a week. You can start by doing that thing you once loved that you forgot about for 15 minutes a week. And you may say, yeah, that's not much time, Jason. But if you haven't spent any time doing it for years, doing it suddenly for 15 minutes a week is a lot more time than zero. Yes, we can. Life has a lot of demands, but we can have jobs. We can have family obligations. We can have getting together with friends and all the things, and still find time to cultivate what we love. It's I was going to say as simply as simple, yuck. Simply as simple, It's as simple as giving ourselves permission. But that's not always easy. There's some reason that we keep our gifts hidden sometimes. Like I kept my poetry hidden for so long, and that reason could be very very powerful, and something to think about. But oh, I mean, the reason we're hiding our gift could be powerful, and definitely is something to notice and something to think about. But that reason doesn't have to define our future, doesn't have to define our relationship to our gifts. It's like it's as simple as that reason's as simple. Like if you were going one way if you were going south for one reason and notice that you didn't want to go south, and you're like, why am I going south? Oh, for that reason. Then you can notice the reason and start going north for, for the reason that it gives you more pleasure, for the reason it's going towards where you want to go. Just because we have reasons for not doing things in the past or for doing things in the past doesn't mean those reasons always have to be be heeded and honored. We can notice those reasons and say, I want to choose new reasons for exploring my talents, for having fun or whatever. It says Van Gogh made art that sold for millions of dollars long after he died in poverty. That's also very true. And speaking of the ripple effect, sometimes the goodness of our efforts won't be fully realized till after our lives. And that's just the way it is. And but the monkey mind can also use that as an excuse. Like it can say, no one appreciates my efforts now. They may appreciate them 500 years from now, but who cares? I'll be gone. Who cares? The monkey mind can talk us out of doing every single thing we really want to do in life. And fill us with endless reasons for not doing the things we want to do. But the monkey mind doesn't have to have the final word. It's doesn't have to be the only show in town. The monkey mind's kind of like a imagine like having a GPS that keeps giving you wrong directions over and over and over again. Do you just keep the GPS and follow it forever and ever, or do you also use another GPS that gets you where you want to go? And you might say, and that's true, is true. The monkey mind, the mind that talks us out of doing the things we most want to do. It's never quiet. It just keeps going and going. And that's fine. It's the way the mind is, but just because we have thoughts that don't take us in the direction we want to go doesn't mean we have to follow them. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. I appreciate all your support. Thank you, Ag. So, basically, I invite you and I invite me to keep uncovering your gifts and remembering what you once loved in doing and picking it up again and doing a little bit of a lot of it and seeing the results. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jason Freeman. I'm a professional speaker with a speech impediment, a writer, a photographer, a friend, a family member, and just so in love with life. I hope you got what you needed today. Please, if you have any reflections, please drop them in the comments or private message me. I mean for these to be a conversation, not just a monologue. So I'm excited to hear your perspective. Excuse me. Our perspectives help us. By sharing our perspectives with each other, we help each other broaden our lives. Talk to you later. Bye.